finishing up 4.7 today. We're going to start here with example 4. They give us, or they tell us that we want to let the graph of g be a vertical shrink by a factor of 1/2. So I want to do a vertical shrink by 1/2. And I also want to do, after that, a translation 4 units down. And let's actually go, let me see what, yeah, we'll just go 4 units down. Okay, I'll show you another thing here in a minute. It is important that you do these as separate steps and that you do it in the order that they give it to you in. Okay, if you do not do that, there are scenarios where you will come up with the incorrect answer. Actually, more than there is not. More times than not, if you don't do it in the correct order, you will get the wrong answer. Okay? So, the function that they give us is f of x equals x to the 5th minus 2x squared. And they want us to write a rule for g, which is just applying these transformations to this function. Okay? To do a vertical shrink, do I need to multiply the inputs or outputs? Outputs, which means everything, right? Okay? The outputs mean everything. So, I need to take this function. I think on your sheet it's written like this. Right? Okay? That's taking it, my factor, and multiplying it times the entire function. So I'm going to take my factor, which is 1/2, and I'm going to multiply it times x to the 5th minus 2x squared. Which then gives me 1/2 x to the 5th minus 1x squared. Okay, just distribute that half. Again, we found this rule on our sheet. Okay, so now I've taken care of the top part. I did a vertical shrink by a factor of 1/2. Now I also need to translate it 4 units down. Okay, on your sheet, that is shown up as what? Outputs, but f of x plus k, because it's a vertical translation on your sheet. So it's f of x plus k, meaning I'm taking my entire function and I am adding my units moved, right? Okay. So I have 1/2 x to the 5th minus x squared Oh, sorry. I was thinking I was going up. My fault. Yes, you're all right. Minus 4. For some reason I was thinking I was going up. Okay, so yeah, minus 4. Thank you. Okay. Yeah.
No, Miranda, he's just doing a lesson.
I can roast you on
with that.
You can't roast me. Best of luck.
Best of luck, he said. You have to be peers.
Okay.
What did you say?
Peers.
Peers?
Okay, now the next thing I want to show you is, and last class brought this up, they wanted an example of what if this happened to be a horizontal, because that's actually a little bit more difficult. Shrink.
Excuse me, interruption. Can I have Regan the office and she'll be leaving?
Yes. And a translation 4 units right, because that's also a little bit more difficult. Okay. So, on your sheet, a horizontal shrink shows up as f of ax, meaning I'm changing all the x values only. Okay. So when I go to do this, I'll post this video if you want to watch it. Okay. When I go to change this, I need, instead of a 1x, I need to change this to a 1/2. Oh, what did I mess up?
It's 2. It's 2.
It should be 2x, thank you, to the 5th, minus 2 times 2x squared. Okay, so I'm taking that x, instead of it being an x, it's going to be a 2x. Now when I do this, does this exponent of 5 go to 1 or both of those things? Both of them. Okay, so I get 2 to the 5th, which is 32. X to the 5th is x to the 5th. 2 squared, 4 times negative 2. Negative 8x squared. Okay, that took care of the horizontal shrink. Yes? They came from the fact that I'm doing a horizontal shrink by 1/2. If you look on your sheet, if they're wanting you to shrink it by 1/2, your scale, your A is actually 2. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so now I need to translate it 4 units right. On your sheet, that shows up as what? X minus h, correct? Meaning I'm changing the x values. I'm not adding it to the end like I did on the vertical one on the last problem. I'm going in and I'm changing all these x values. So I'm going to start here. I have 32. Let's do a different color. 32. And then I have x. And going to the right is positive, right? So it's actually going to read x minus 4 to the 5th. Minus 8 x minus 4 squared. And now, what's that? Oh, I thought you had, good?
And then you're done?
No, you are not done. Okay? You have to, and you're not distributing anymore because this is a binomial. So you would have to FOIL this out 5 times or use Pascal's triangle. We're not going to do this, okay, but I'm just making sure you can set this up. I will tell you in your assignment you do have 1 to the 4th power. Can you stop munching on those?
That's Abby. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
She's eating pretzels. I'm eating pretzels.
You guys just need to stop. That's so annoying to everybody around you.
Abby's the whole thing in your mouth.
Okay, you would FOIL this, right? Okay, I'm not going to finish solving this out, but you would have to finish solving this out. You do have one in your assignment that is a 4th degree. I made that problem up. I don't have it. We'd have to solve it out to get the answer. It would look something like this. It'd just be this long polynomial.
How do you minus that one from the other one? You just like subtract it?
Well, yeah, you'll end up doing like terms. Okay, so let's say I have this. Let's do that. So this FOILs to x squared minus 8x plus 16, okay? And this is negative 8 out in front. Distribute it. Negative 8x squared plus 64x. 8 and 6 is minus 128. Okay? So then you would have this, and you just take this and do the same thing, and combine all your like terms. We're just not going to go through that for sake of time. You could, so when you get the 4th degree one, you could FOIL them. You could take 2 of them, FOIL them, and then multiply, or you could use Pascal's triangle, whichever is your preference. It really doesn't matter to me. Okay. The last example I want to look at is example 5. Okay. They have a pyramid here. Okay, and they have it labeled that this is x feet, this is x feet, and I'm just going to put the height in here, is x minus 3 feet. Now, one of the problems you're going to do in your homework is a cone. The volume for a cone, just so you're aware, is on that poster back there. Okay, use that. You will need it. Okay, but essentially what they give us here is they give us the volume, which is equal to 1/3 x cubed minus x squared. And they actually left this as v of x. Okay. That would give you the answer in cubic feet, because this is labeled in feet. Okay. Then they tell you, what's that?
I was looking at the volume of the cone.
Okay. Pyramid.
I don't know where we are.
Volume of a pyramid.
Yeah.
They gave us the height, the base, the length. They gave us the equation for volume of the pyramid. Okay? If we knew what an x value was, we could plug it in here and we would come out with cubic feet. Okay? They want us to tell, or they want us to find out what the volume is, but they are giving us side lengths in yards and height in yards. So what they tell us is that to convert this, I know that W of x is equal to V of 3x. Okay, and they give that to you. Okay. W of x is just going to be another function if the side lengths were given to us in yards. It's just another a letter they chose. It stands for nothing specific. Okay? But I do know that I should be able to find the equation for W of x, since they told me V of x is this, and W of x is equal to a horizontal shrink by 1/3, which is what this is telling us. Yes, Peyton?
Where did the minus x squared go? It's,
This is just telling me to transform this function to get W of x. Okay? I have not plugged in anything yet. This is still your function to get it in cubic feet. This is going to be, W of x is going to be our function to get it in cubic feet when given yards. Okay? All they're telling us here is that I need to transform this function using this rule. Okay? Notice I changed, instead of V of x, it's now V of 3x. So I need to go in and I need to change all these x's into 3x's. Okay, so I do that like this. W of x equals 1/3 3x cubed. Okay, I'm just doing the same thing we've been doing. I'm doing a transformation. Minus 3x squared. It's just a conversion for us. Okay. So 3x cubed is, it's what? 27x cubed. 27 times 1/3 is 9. So this is 9x cubed. Minus 3x squared is 9x squared. Because it's x times x. 3x times 3x. Okay? So all we found there is a new equation that would allow us to find the cubic feet if they gave us x in yards. Okay? The next part of the question is, what is the value of W of 10? meaning I plugged 10 in for x in my w equation. So this would be here. So I would take 10 to the third, which is 1,000 times 9, 9,000. How'd I get what? 3 cubed is 27 times a third.
So taking the 10 and putting it into the direct equation?
Yep, because notice this is w of x, this is w of 10. I plugged 10 in for x. Okay? 10 squared is 100 times 9, 900. So w of 10 is equal to 8,100. Now, here's the catch. And this is what confused fourth period. The label is still in feet, even though they gave us the fact that these side lengths were 10 yards. Okay? That's how I got that's the W of 10. These are 10 yards.
Could you just, like, convert it into feet before you start?
You would end up with a decimal or fractions, one of the two. Okay? Yes.
Which equation did you put the 10 into? The first red one or the second?
I'll put it right here.
Okay.
It wouldn't matter, though.
Right.
It's just simplified. Yes, Peyton. With a sec.
The age equals,
Zach. The what?
I don't know what the age equals x minus 3. I know that is.
This is just the height of your pyramid. I just didn't draw it in here.
We didn't even use
It just depends on what you're trying to find.
It's your height. Volume, you have to have a height.
Have we even used that?
Oh, we can.
No. Okay. Now, so what we did is they gave us a volume equation. We wanted to convert it from our volume equation in feet. We wanted an equation where if they gave us the side lengths in yards, we could solve it and get it back to feet. Okay, so that's where this came from. Now, the difference with this problem and the one on the cone that you're going to do on your assignment, it's the other way around. If they give it to you in yards, they want you to flip it to feet. Only difference is going to be, instead of this being a 3x, it's going to be a 1/3 x. Okay, you're going the other way. Instead of going from feet to yards, you're going from yards to feet. Okay, so just be aware of that. I will leave this on the board so you can look at that if you get to that problem. Okay?
Can I take like a quick video?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, you have the rest of the class to work on that assignment or finish it up.